Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome everyone to the seminar of UNESCO CHE on ethical governance of artificial intelligence. The lecture entitled AI-Driven Revolution in Chess, New Opportunities and Ethical Challenges will be delivered by the chess Grandmaster Bartłomiej Macieja. Bartłomiej, welcome to our Instytut.
Thank you.
The seminar is broadcast live on the YouTube also. I will now ask Professor Szczepański, Director of the Institute and Deputy Head of the UNESCO Chair, to introduce our guest and lead the further part of our seminar. Janusz.
Thank you so much. It is my great pleasure to introduce our nice speaker. So, dear professors, dear colleagues, dear friends, it is my great pleasure to welcome today's speaker, chess Grandmaster Bartłomiej Macieja, one of Poland's most distinguished chess personalities. He is not only an outstanding player, but also a coach, arbiter, organizer, and educator. Grandmaster Macieja became European champion in 2002. In 2002 and is a two-times Polish champion. He achieved a peak rating, placing him among the world top players, and has competed against numerous world champions throughout his career. He holds also a master's degree in physics from the University of Warsaw. Beyond his achievements at the chessboard, he is the International Chess Federation senior trainer, the highest coaching title awarded by the International Chess Federation, and currently serves as the chess program director and head coach at the University of Texas Rio Grande Valley. Under his guidance, the University of Texas team won the US Collegiate Team Chess Championship 4 times, establishing itself as one of the leading collegiate chess programs in the United States. Grandmaster Macieja is also the member of FIDE Chess in Education Commission, contributing to the global development of chess and education. Let's go to our seminars. So today, as a part of seminar of the UNESCO chair, as said Professor Burczyński, on the ethical governance of artificial intelligence, Grandmaster Macieja will discuss a topic that lies at the intersection of human intelligence, machine intelligence, and ethics. We know that chess has long been a testing ground for advancing artificial intelligence, and few people are better positioned to reflect on these changes than someone who has experienced this transformation from both a competitive and educational perspective. So please join me in warmly welcoming Grandmaster Macieja. Thank you for being with us today. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. I am your neighbor indeed, from the physics department. We are very close, and my life passion is chess, and that's why Professor Szczepański invited me to give this speech about AI in chess, and we can even talk about the revolution in chess. So that's actually the first AI device ever. Now, what is it? That was constructed by Wolfgang von Kampelen, and it was constructed in 1770. So you already can see something is wrong here, right? So it was a machine which appeared to be able to play a very strong game of chess. But so there was a person inside there, the machine. This it's not that person. That person is Tark. It's not a real person. It just pretends to be one of the Ottoman people dressed in such clothes. But the real person, the real master, was inside, and he knew exactly through the system of levers and magnets which move was played and how to respond. So that device survived lots of years, 84 years. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in a fire. So you can say that was the first machine that played chess. I was also asked to talk about some ethical problems, so we can see our first ethical problems. Sometimes those machines are not really what people think they are. Before we talk about AI, let's come back for a moment. Let's make some introduction to traditional chess, pre-AI chess, and before AI. People used to play, humans played against other humans or against the dogs. So people ask me how good was that dog? Was it really a good opponent? So let me clarify, it was not. In 16 matches when we played, it could hardly ever score a point or more against me. So why chess, and why there is such an interest in chess? Tak, może bez światła lepiej będzie widać. In 2013, there was an article published about jobs and the future of jobs and the risk of computerization. That article was cited over 10,000 times. It was written by two Oxford professors, and the most important conclusion was they took into consideration, they analyzed about 700 different jobs, different occupations, and they concluded that about 50%, 47% of total US employment is at risk, and by risk they mean that the associated occupations are potentially automatable over some period of time. Czy byłaby możliwość, bo tu troszkę ucina, to być może w innych slajdach też będzie ucinać? Nie wiadomo. Okay, we will see. So, what should the education system teach our students? Which professions, if like half of them are at risk? And to this question, Albert Einstein already responded almost 100 years ago when he made a speech during a celebration of 300 years of higher education in the United States. And he said, sometimes one sees in the school simply the instrument for transferring a certain maximum quantity of knowledge to the growing generation. But that's not right. The aim must be the training of independently thinking and acting individuals who, however, see in the service of the community their highest life. The teacher should be given extensive liberty in the selection of the material to be taught and the methods of teaching employed by him. He also said he concluded, we can say, if you have followed my meditations up to this point, you will probably wonder about one thing. I've spoken fully about what spirit, according to my opinion, you should have instructed, but I have said nothing yet about the choice of subject for instructions, nor about the method of teaching. Should language predominate or the technical education in science? To this I answer, in my opinion, all this is of secondary importance. If a young man has trained his muscles and physical endurance by gymnastics and walking, he will later be fitted for every physical work. This is also analogous to the training of the mind and the mental and manual skill. So that's what Einstein explained. And the development of general ability for independent thinking and judgment should always be placed foremost, not the acquisition of special knowledge. If a person masters the fundamentals of his subject and has learned to think and work independently, he will surely find his way, and besides, will better be able to adapt himself to progress and changes. That's the person whose training principally consists of acquiring the detailed knowledge. And this is my favorite quote of Albert Einstein: education is that which remains if one has forgotten everything he learned in school. That's the education. So we can now come back to that question: which professions should school, universities teach? And it's not about professions; it's about skills. And with chess, that's why chess has become so popular, and even chess is being introduced into schools in many countries, including Poland. It's because chess teaches all of these things: logical thinking, problem solving, critical thinking, and so on. There is the entire list of things, of benefits of playing chess. Here, by playing chess, it doesn't mean playing professionally chess. It just means learning the chess and later using those skills in real life. So, a short history of chess. This is something really amazing, that chess has survived roughly 1,500 years. And it's one of the oldest surviving games. None of the games that existed have completely disappeared. They vanished. So the question is like, why? What happened? Chess originated in India, and then it quickly spread to Persia, and with Arabs through Spain spread to Southern Europe. The earliest precursor of modern chess was a game called Chaturanga, what meant 4 armies. That's elephants, chariots, horsemen, and foot soldiers. It was a battle simulation game which rendered Indian military strategy of the time. Now, the reason why chess has survived and other games have not survived is because chess nicely balances this easy to learn, hard to master. Easy to learn doesn't mean you can learn all the rules in like 2 minutes. Maybe it takes 15 minutes to learn. However, you don't get bored. You can develop in chess and play better and better for decades. It takes decades to become a Grandmaster or the world champion. And another reason why chess survives is because it's a game with pure skills. There is nothing random there. You start from the same position, you know everything about the game, and it's only up to you and up to your opponent how you do it. I listed very quickly all those milestones. I will not go through all of them. Again, it started about 550 in India, 600 in Persia. We even have in a manuscript some reference to beginnings of chess in India a bit earlier. About 1000 chess, year 1000 chess spread to Russia, so it was not only coming through Spain. And there are some books. It's very interesting to know that the first chess book that has survived till now, and I even read that book, was published in 1497. It's available online. Everybody can read it. And in the 19th century, that was when the first chess magazines popped up. There was the first tournaments in the United States, international tournaments, and the end of the 19th century, the first World Championship match was played. There was introduction of specially designed chess clock. Now, how popular is chess? And many people don't realize that actually it is very popular. So in 2012, the International Chess Federation conducted a survey which showed that on a regular basis, 600 million adults play chess. And if we just talk, if you ask a question, do you play at least one a year? Then you can see, for instance, 70% of Indian people play, so that's a lot of people already. International Chess Federation, which is the governing body of chess in the world, rates 558,000 people. So that many people have official international rating. Among national chess federations, there are many more people that have national ratings. And chess is especially popular online and has become very popular during COVID time and also post-COVID time, because we couldn't play basketball, we couldn't play other sports, but why not to play chess? You can easily do it. So right now, only on chess.com, which is just one of those chess platforms where people can play chess, there are 268 million registered accounts. And daily, there is between 35 million and 40 million games played. So that's a lot of games. And we are talking just about one platform, the biggest of them, but just one of them. In 2020, so that was that COVID time, the first day of the candidates tournament, it's one of the tournaments that from which the best player qualifies for the World Championship match. That was viewed live by 1 million Chinese alone. So these are really very big numbers. Now, a small introduction about combinational games, because you see there are many other games. Chess is not the only combinatorial game. And a typical combinatorial game, I try to find some very strict definition, but apparently there is no one, everybody more or less understands what it is, but sometimes people differ in some details. So like a typical combinatorial game satisfies the following condition: there is complete information, like in chess. There is no randomization mechanism, such as rolling a die or flipping a coin. Typically, two people play. Now, with chess, and also with some of other games listed there, even though there exists a winning strategy for one of the players or a non-losing strategy for both players, the difficulty of finding an optimal strategy is caused by the number of possibilities, so by the complexity of the game. And this complexity will be very important when we start discussing AI. If we talk about this complexity of chess, there are two approaches. We can calculate two typical approaches. One of them is we can calculate how many positions are available. With chess, it's a little bit tricky because we need to distinguish between a chess diagram and position. For instance, what you see there It's a diagram, but it doesn't have information, even if we know that it is black to move. We don't know, for instance, if short castle is possible or it's not possible. There is such information missing. Whether en passant is possible, which is a special move. So there are more chess positions than chess diagrams. I mentioned that distinction because so something went wrong here. So as you can see, well, the game of chess always starts from one position, from the same position. That's why the first row you see 0. This is at move 0, at the 0 ply. Ply means half move, so one. If white makes a move, that's one ply. If black responds, that's the second ply. And already after 11, after both sides have played, after white has played for the 6th time, so 11 moves in total have been played by both players combined, there are already 726 billion distinct positions that could have been obtained. So that's really a lot. That actually reminds me, a week ago, somebody showed me a photo of me and asked, Bartek, how old were you when you played that game? I look at the photo and I said, I was 14 years old and 1 month. And they were shocked. They said, like, how come? How come you know exactly how old were you? Was it something special? I said, no, it's just that's my photo with the position, and I remember that particular position I played only once, and that was when I was 14 years old and 1 month, because that's when the tournament took place. So we can see the state space complexity of the game is the number of legal game positions reachable from the initial position of the game. And now we are trying to involve computers. And probably the most important, at least the most famous work that was by Claude Shannon. It was published in 1950. And the article was titled Programming a Computer for Playing Chess. And believe it or believe me or not, that was an article about how to program computer, how to play chess. So, in that article, Shannon tried to see if there was a way for a computer to fully solve chess. Because maybe if we give enough time for a computer, it can find either all of the positions or maybe all of the possible games of chess. So that's why he calculated roughly how many different positions there are, and that was the conclusion that he reached, that there is 5 times 10 to the power of 42 different positions. And that's roughly, he was not really calculating very precisely, but that was enough for him to say, look, that's gonna take too long for any computer to see somehow all of those positions. So we probably need to have a different approach. But before we go there, let me mention that in 2021, one of the scientists, computer science people published results, and according at least to his article, Computer Simulation and some calculations, the number of different positions, legal positions in chess is 5 times 10 to the power of 44. So a little bit more than Shannon concluded, but again, this is like within a range, and Shannon was not calculating very precisely. It was, for him, it was enough to discourage him from a certain approach. We can compare this number to the number of arrangements in checkers, in 8x8 checkers, and And that numbers, we already know, we even know it precisely. So you see the difference between chess and checkers is in chess, we even don't know how many of them there are. We cannot calculate, we can only estimate. In checkers we can, and that's the number of different placements, but only about 1%, that's what specialists in checkers say, of those positions is legal in the sense that we can obtain them by making legal moves from the starting position. So to compare both numbers, 5 times 10 to the power of 44 in chess, and in checkers 5 times 10 to the power of 18, we can see that there is 10 to the power of 26 times more legal positions in chess than in checkers. Nowadays, we are used to those gigahertz processors. I found something published on Intel about it, but basically we can say the conclusion is that you see, if a computer was able to strongly solve checkers in 1 nanosecond, only 1 nanosecond, the same computer would take about 3 million years to solve chess. That's the difference in complexity between checkers and chess. And we are not even close to strongly solve checkers in 1 nanosecond, not now. Now, what does it mean, strongly solve? You see, there are 3 levels of solving a game. One game, we call it ultra-weak solution. And that's the solution where we know who wins. For instance, the first person, we very often call that person white, or the second person, so it's typically black. And in some games, we don't even know how to play, even what is the best first move, but we can deduct who wins with a perfect play, which we don't know what it is. So for instance, there is a game of hex, and if this game of hex is played on a sufficiently large board, what happens is that we know 2 facts. First, in that game there cannot be a draw, so one of the players must win. And the second, by making a move, you can only improve your position. And that's sufficient to prove that the person who starts wins. Like, we have no clue how, but we know the person wins. Weak solution is a solution where we already found a way, and we know, for instance, there is a draw, or for instance, we win a game, and we see at least like one path how to get there. And checkers were solved weakly, so we know it's a drawn game. Even 8x8 checkers have not been solved strongly. It means we don't have a solution from every possible legal position. So for chess, of course, it's nobody even thinks about it at this point. Now, a quick trivia: which number is higher, the population of New York City or the number of district chess games that may finish in exactly 8 moves? So you give a checkmate so quickly in 4 moves. And apparently, the population of New York is 8.5 million, but there is already 9.9 million different ways how a checkmate can be delivered in 8 plays. That means 4 moves. 4 moves of white and 4 moves of black. So now you can see how quickly this number grows, how complex chess is. And this is a table which I prepared with some numbers. And these numbers are huge. It's worth noting the last column, which is called a branching factor. It means how many more possibilities there are, basically how many moves there were. So you can see it starts from 20, white can begin from 20 moves, black can respond with 20 moves, but then this number increases, and then we can see it's about a little bit more than 30. By the 15 moves, so after white has moved for the 8th time and black has moved 7th time, there's already 2 sextillions, so 2 times to the 21st power. I had to even look how this number is called because I had no idea. Such huge numbers. Okay, so this branching factor, as you can see, later becomes about 30. Now, we will see this in a moment, how Shannon used it in his calculations of this first computer program. But first, some statistics. So the longest possible game of chess under the current rules is 8,848 and a half moves, and the half means that white can make the move, but black already cannot respond. So that's the longest game, and this is the number of possible chess games that can be played. It's roughly, as you can see, 10 to the power of 30,000. And that's very interesting. That's very interesting because there is something which is called a Shannon number. And everybody in the entire world knows the Shannon numbers. I remember my chess coach told me a phrase, look Bartek, there is 10 to the power of 120, and that's the Shannon number, ways of playing a game of chess, and there is only 10 to the power of 80 different atoms in an observable universe. So the number of games that you can play in chess is even bigger. And like, he was right, it's bigger, but it's not 10 to the power of 120, but it's 10 to the power of 30,000, so it's much bigger. So like, so what is the Shannon number? Where is the confusion? And it all started from a friend, a bit older friend of Shannon, who studied psychology, Adrian de Groot. And he published a book where he analyzed all games of masters. And he manually calculated, I think he took 1,000 games that he had. And in every game, in every position, he calculated how many different moves a player had. So it's like lots of work if you do it manually. And he did. And he concluded that there is this number, so what we saw later, this branching factor, so he was right, completely right, that it's somewhere between 30 and 35, later when these numbers stabilize. So in 1950, what Shannon did, said, really, that's the number? Okay, then you see, a square root of 1,000 is 31.6, so more or less the number you are referring to. So if white makes one move and black makes a move, that's in total 1,000 different ways how a game of chess could have continued. And then he saw that based on those 1,000 games of the top masters, it's very unlikely that a game of chess can be won in 40 moves. It doesn't seem so. It's probably more. But then he said, well, let's assume that this is just 40 moves. Again, for the purpose of his article where he said, it's really a bad idea to try to program a computer, so he would try to know everything about chess. And indeed, so when you take 40 moves and then you take the statistics of Adrian de Groot, you get this 10 to the power 10 to the third power, this 1,000, and then to the number of moves, so to the 40, and to get 10 to the power of 120. So people very often misinterpret what Shannon said. Shannon didn't say that that's the number of different games you can play in chess. He just said, look, even 10 to the power of 120 is so discouraging that if we want to really program a computer to play chess, we need to look for a different way. We need to do something else. So this number is called the Shannon number, but again, it has a different meaning. It's not really an estimate how many different games there are. An estimate, as you could see earlier, is 10 to the power of 30,000, like roughly. That's actually interesting. We even don't know exactly, and you see, we don't know a number. It hardly ever happens in anything that we don't know the number, we even don't know the order of magnitude, and it may be 2,000 orders of magnitude more, maybe 2,000 orders of magnitude less. It's amazing. In 1994, Alice published this work, which is about different games, and he tried to put different games in different category, trying to see what is the best approach to solve them. He concluded, you know, with chess belongs to the fourth category. It's unsolvable game. There are just way too many possibilities. Neither approach through the state space, nor through the any kind of brute force calculation of all of the possible moves. It will lead nowhere. So now, after this introduction, we are ready to start with the chess engines. And a traditional chess engine, it calculates lots of lines. Nowadays, if you use a laptop like this laptop and you have a typical regular chess program and the chess engine, that's going to calculate about 1 million moves or 1 million positions per second. That's a lot. Right? For a Grandmaster, probably I can calculate 1 or 2 positions per second. So you can see already a dramatic difference. But then comes the second very important condition, that a chess engine needs to use an algorithm of evaluation of the position, because it cannot calculate everything till the end of the game, till a checkmate. And this is a weak point of every chess engine, because that's what we as humans need to teach a chess engine, like what this chess engine needs to do. Typically, chess engines, those traditional chess engines, use a minimax algorithm. There are sometimes some improvements. Alpha-beta pruning is a typical one. So a common misconception is among chess players, also among many people, lots of people, that computers calculate, chess engines calculate everything. And that's not true at all. They don't. So at a low level, when we are talking about maybe the first move, the second move, the third move, oh yes, the computers can easily calculate everything and so on. But at one point, these computers say, no, we are not going to calculate these lines which we don't think they are prospective. It's better if we use our resources to decide which of those prospective lines, A and or B, or sometimes C, is better, will give me more chances. And like, why am I going to calculate some really bad moves? Like, I can instantly see it's wrong. A funny thing is, because of that, those traditional chess engines, which are prepared, strong chess engines, they are unable to solve chess problems, chess compositions. Why? Because typically in a chess composition, the first move or the second move, they are like the worst move you can imagine. So before the computer understands that, oh, there is a checkmate coming in some, I don't know, 12 moves or something, or we are winning there, it already rejects the line. And then tries to continue and analyze more deeply those more prospective lines, but they lead to nowhere. And bad computers, bad chess engines, it means chess engines that calculate everything. And they are bad because then, if you try to calculate everything, you saw my tables earlier, you just cannot do that. You will not advance. But they calculate everything, so with them you can easily solve all kinds of chess puzzles. With good programs, they have some special versions called chess solving version of a certain problem, which means a bad version. You cannot play chess because it's bad, but for problem solving it's great because then it analyzes everything. And these traditional chess engines can be viewed as they are human-centered because they help with a training of a person. You can analyze your own game with that person, and also a very good thing is that they are explainable AI. So why? Because they produce, they show you the lines which they are analyzing and say, look, this is my main line, this is my second best line, this is the third, and you can go through this line and say, oh, indeed, yes, now you convinced me, I understand. Oh, indeed, that was a mistake. Oh, I missed that move. Thank you for showing me this line. Those traditional chess engines, some people don't truly consider AI. I think it's okay to consider them AI, but like a narrow AI. It's not really what we mean by AI, that it learns by itself and so on. But it has a static algorithm, doesn't have learning capability. You can still consider it AI. Well, learning capability may only have in the sense that if it has analyzed already something, then it keeps it in the memory, unless you switch it off. A very interesting thing is that every chess engine, that traditional chess engine, had a style. And that depended on a programmer. So a programmer played an important role. Now, what is that style? Like, where is it here? It's this algorithm of position evaluation. And some of the programs were much stronger than other chess programs because they had better algorithm of evaluation. And one of those traditional chess engines, which was Rybka, everybody, when we as Grandmaster were looking at the games of Rybka, I thought, oh, it's another human playing that games. It was completely different than all other engines. Why? Because all other engines, we try to think, oh, can I win a pawn there? Can I do something? And Rybka was was more concerned about strategy, long-term strategy. And that was at that time, so like 20 years ago, unavailable to other programs. And here comes our first big match, which is Deep Blue versus Garry Kasparov. So there were World Computer Championships, and those chess engines played against each other. Also, chess engines played against some humans. I also played against some chess engines. But there was a really very big match, which was Deep Blue. It was a massive IBM computer, and IBM challenged Garry Kasparov, who was back then the world champion, until now is considered either the best player in the history or the second best. He was leading the leader of the world ratings for 20 years, and that's a lot in any kind of sport. So the first match, it's less known, but it did happen in Philadelphia 1996. Kasparov won. He lost the first game. That was what's going on. The world champion is losing. Everybody thought he would easily win, but then fortunately he woke up and then won 4-2. The second match, which was played 1 year later in New York, that was already a completely different match. Deep Blue was much stronger than the first one. Here we need to, however, mention that matches, you can easily organize matches between humans and put them in equal conditions. When you organize a match between a computer and a human being, it's basically impossible to do that. Now, why? Because if you try to think about openings, of course, Garry Kasparov remembers lots of things. He has lots of experience. He has played his own games. He has seen thousands of games or dozens of thousands of games, maybe 100,000 of games. Many of them he remembers, or at least knows the main conclusions. But chess databases, they have some big million of games. So do we allow the computer to have access to all of those games? And of course, Garry Kasparov can forget about many of those games, thousands of those games. Computer will never remember if you give the computer access to it. Or we switch off access of a computer to a database, to the opening database. Well, but that's not fair to the computer, because Garry Kasparov remembers that knowledge, and there is no way how to erase from his head the opening knowledge. So you see, there are some problems with that. Also, for human beings, it's very difficult to play because of psychology. We know we are playing against a very strong player. We are afraid. There are emotions. Computers don't have emotions. So it's easier. Everybody expected in 1997 that Kasparov would still win the match. But Deep Blue was already not much weaker than Kasparov, and because of those other elements, Deep Blue won the match. In these two matches, between those two matches, there were at least 3 controversial situations. So here is where we come back to this topic of ethics and AI. So something strange happened in one of the games, which is computer was showing, because you can see that's a traditional program, which move it wanted to play. And at that time, for some reason, the team of Kasparov agreed before the match that the IBM team would be able to reprogram a program during the game, which is like how it's already, the game has started, like do it after the game, not during. So they were improving something. And then while they were improving, Deep Blue crashed. So then very soon the game restarted, but already Deep Blue was showing a different move, a stronger one. And now nobody understands like what happened. Why after the reboot of a comp, suddenly it's showing a different move. Deep Blue had a big team of coaches, grandmasters, that were helping those computer scientists to program it. And one of the simple explanations is, maybe those grandmasters somehow helped or told the programmer, no, just stop it and tell the IBM to play a different move. So that was one controversy. Probably that's not what happened, but you see, there are all of those theories. The second controversy is, there are 2 controversies in the second match, which Deep Blue won. In the second game of the match, out of the sudden, computer, after playing a fantastic game, phenomenal game, some very strange decisions, and allowed Kasparov to escape to a draw. Kasparov was convinced that he cannot sacrifice a piece to give a perpetual check, and he said, well, maybe these computers don't know strategy well, but for sure they calculate very well. But there was some luck. And after playing a very good game, Deep Blue allowed Kasparov to escape, but Kasparov trusted a computer. You see, that's also a difference between man and machine. Like, the machine would never trust Kasparov in anything. So Kasparov lost the game, but like nobody knew what happened. Like what was that bug? And the last controversy is the last game of the match. It was 2.5, and nobody knows why. In the final game of the match, Kasparov decided to play a line which had been known to be very bad. Like everybody in the world knew, every chess player. But he did. And there are different theories like why he did it. He would have never done it against Anatoly Karpov, his rival, but he did it against a computer. So one theory is, maybe he had some special deal with IBM and I don't know, he got paid, he got bribed and he was, I don't know. I don't think so, because Kasparov, he was an extremely ambitious player with very high reputation. It's very unlikely. Some people think that way. I don't. More likely what happened is Kasparov did test with previous versions of chess engines whether that backline, which requires from a computer a piece sacrifice. And none of those old chess engines had done it. Now, if the chess engine doesn't sacrifice a piece, then Kasparov gets a very good position. So that's the deal. So he took that risk. I don't fully understand that strategy, because the weak thing is you can take enormous, you are taking enormous risk. You know, if a computer, if an engine sacrifices a piece, you're going to lose that game, especially because computers were and are very good in calculation. So if the position got super complicated, that's really bad for you. And this gain which he was trying to have, it was small. There was some gain, but there was no need to do that. Kasparov had played lots of games lots of matches for the World Championship match. He knows lots of openings. Like, why would that happen? But there is one more thing about it, which is when Kasparov decided to play it before in this last game, apparently between game 5 and game 6, and we know it from interview of some members of the team of Deep Blue, those programmers were asked by the team of Grandmaster to force Deep Blue to make certain moves in certain positions. Like, if you get that position, then don't think you must play this move. If you get that position, you must play that move. And that was one of those moves. So, like, why would they do it between round 5 and 6? If they wanted to have such an algorithm, why didn't they do it before the start of the match? Like, why between games 5 and 6? And the team of Kasparov, I met with Gary in 2024. It was because my university had won some competitions a few times, and still the team of Gary and some of those members were with him during the match. Till today, believed that maybe there was some information leaked to IBM that he wanted to do that, and that's why they reprogrammed. So another controversy. If everything was clear, maybe not, but we are talking about those ethical dilemmas, and this is one of them. Now, AI chess engines, they led to a revolution in chess. Why? So we see this computers, internet, and then chess engines. Because we had in the past lots of countries, continents that were basically excluded from chess or from good chess. There was a very strong era in the Soviet Union. There were some other strong eras, but in many regions of the world, like, what could you do? You had no coach there. Flying somewhere was very expensive. You had no access to tournaments. And now with this AI, you can get an eye as a coach. You can also analyze games by yourself, even of the leading players in the world, and then put a comment like, how didn't they see that move? It was so obvious, which very often happens. That also has changed very much, because in the past, like, nobody would dare to make such a comment to some Karpov-Kasparov match. But nowadays, like, how did Carlson miss that? Like, everybody could see that. So some patience is also required from the side of players now, because these comments became AI supported, and there is nothing you can argue about. Once the engines have popped out, the second thing which became was some cooperation between human and machine, and the main idea was, look, these computers don't really understand the strategy, the long-term planning. That's what we mean by strategy. But they are so good in calculations, like if it's 5 move or 6 move, they are not gonna miss, and they will find a win. So we just need to direct them what to do, and then they will find the solution to that. And so that was the idea. It's called cyborg chess, advanced chess, centaur chess, and that was especially powerful, such a combination, one human, one engine, in the beginning of, so in the first decade of the 21st century. And in 2007, there was a match organized. We will later come back to that event, when one of the leading grandmasters in the world, Alexander Morozevich, played together with Rybka, so he could look any moment he wanted for recommendations of Rybka, and Rybka was the strongest engine back then. And they played just against Rybka. So Morozevich was weaker than Rybka, but Morozevich and Rybka together, they completely destroyed just Rybka. So you see that combination, human and machine, that worked very well. Now it doesn't. And the reason is the chess engines no longer need anything from human. In 2007, Vasek Riley, who is the author of Rybka, challenged a winner of computer chess. It was like a championship in 2007, and he said, "Look, why you guys, your two programs are playing a match for some to determine who is the best program in the world? If none of you is, it's like my program is clearly the best." And to show it, and it's very interesting because Vasek Riley, he's just a regular person. He did almost everything by himself. Those other programs, so Deep Junior and Deep Fritz, they are supported by big companies, so they have enormous budgets to do it. 1 million here, 1 million there of dollars. That those are not money. And this one has, one computer, but good ideas and knows how to do the things. And he challenged the winner. He says, "Okay, well, you want to play a match? That's fine. But I challenge the winner immediately, and you know what? I give you 1 point odds. Anyway, I'm gonna win." So he challenged that match. He challenged the other programs, the winner for such a match. And he said, "Look, let's do the prize fund $100,000. If I lose, I pay. If you lose, you pay me." For an individual person, that's a lot of money. But like he knew how strong his program was, and he was right. The match didn't happen. And the match didn't happen because there was some discussion of whether they should play on the same equipment, in the same place, or remotely. And those opponents, they wanted to play remotely. Sergei Abramov was helping Vasek. Sergei Abramov is an owner of one of the companies. He said, "Look, there are different possibilities of cheating. It's not that we are saying that you will cheat, but let's have the rules that will completely exclude possibility of cheating. Then we'll have a fair match. Nobody will ever complain. There will be no doubts which program is stronger." Unfortunately, the match didn't take place. They couldn't agree, and so the match didn't happen. Rybka played against a different program and won the other match. Now we are moving to 2017, so basically 1 decade later. And here we have this introduction of AlphaZero, which is a completely different approach to chess, a new one. Well, it existed earlier, but we didn't have sufficient processing power to do that. So AlphaZero was a program, was a chess engine that taught itself how to play chess. So DeepMinds managed to eliminate that factor, the weakest link, which is the human. And first, AlphaZero trained itself by playing lots of games. Let me add, lots of pointless games, but very quick. And then it was making some statistics and says, "Oh, look, when I play this move, I'm having good statistics. I'm winning all of my games, or almost all of those games. I play this move, well, my statistics are very bad. So let me play the move which has good statistics." So it took some time, some hours to train. And it had no access to opening books, no access to endgame tables, just nothing. It trained itself fully. During the match against Stockfish, and Stockfish was by then already the best program in the world, already much stronger than Rybka. So the team, DeepMind, estimated that already after 4 hours of self-training, AlphaZero, by playing with itself those huge numbers of completely random games, was already stronger than the best engine ever. And then when they played a 100-game match, look what happened. AlphaZero won 28 times, it didn't lose a single game, and there were 72 draws. Nobody in the world could believe that, because all of the Grandmasters thought Stockfish is like a god of chess. Yes, you can maybe improve it like a little bit, but basically we are already there at the top. Nothing can defeat Stockfish. Nothing can be better than Stockfish. Out of the sudden, Stockfish is unable to win any game, loses every fourth game, and that's a lot. By the way, during the game, AlphaZero trained using 5,000 first generations TPUs, but during the match, it only used 4 of them. So once the training was over, it already had some like, reasonable equipment. We are moving one more later. There is a big rematch, and they played 1,000 game. Now Stockfish, it's a new version, Stockfish 9. But look what happens. 155 wins of AlphaZero, 6 games are lost, and lots of draws. That kind of indicates that the game of chess is drawn. That's what most people believe, although we cannot prove it, even in that very, very weak way. But that's what all top grandmasters in the world will tell you, that chess is a drawn game, and you can also see in the statistics. So what were the consequences for Stockfish, the program that lost? Well, modern versions still use that traditional approach, but they also already added these deep neural networks. And now some controversies, because till now everything was very good. We could learn a lot, but because these computers have become so powerful, some people use them for unethical things, and they try to cheat. So there was a big controversy in one of the tournaments in 2022. Magnus Carlsen, the world champion, or the best player in the world, refused to play again against Hans Niemann. And then chess.com, which again is the biggest platform in the world, published some 72-page investigation document showing that Niemann had likely cheated in more than 100 online games. There were some consequences. None of them won that lawsuit, but they were forced, both sides, to look for some settlement. So it wasn't really very well proved, like completely proved. At least the judge couldn't understand anything of that. That's also the case sometimes, and that's what happens. In the World University Championship, one of them, the world champion got disqualified from the tournament because the fair play panel decided, no, she's very likely she's cheating, that's very bad, we need to remove her. But later, when they tried to go to the FIDE Ethics Commission, the FIDE Ethics Commission says, no, yes, we understand like what you mean, it looks bad, but is it really a proof that somebody cheated? So there were no follow-up, which was really strange, because they disqualified the world champion and then nothing happened. They didn't disqualify, they removed her from the tournament, but then they didn't disqualify her, like for a year or something. So it shows how difficult it is to prove. But look how cheating is. At the Olympia 2010, the French team cheated. It's not really the French team, it's one player from that team, but he had the captain involved and one player who was in France back then and was showing them. So if at the Olympian, a French team, which is a very prestigious team, and nobody would have expected them to cheat, but somehow they got caught and they admitted, and then they got disqualified. The first really known cheating, at least known to me, cheating happened in Germany, where a player with no major successes in competitive chess defeated grandmasters, and then he won the tournament. But that was 1998, people didn't really know what to do. Everybody understood something is wrong, but like why, what's going on? And probably nobody would have done anything if not for the mistake that player made in the last round, which is he played against a grandmaster, outplayed that grandmaster. So the grandmaster resigned, and then this person said, of course, because it's checkmate in 12 moves. And people said, what? Like, how do we even see it? It's completely impossible. Nobody can see checkmate in 12 moves. You could see even by my table, like, how many different possibilities there are. So they didn't give him a prize and they disqualified. Sometimes, in some countries they take chess cheating more seriously. So I read some information, some article, and apparently one of the players who decided to cheat during one of the tournaments got sentenced for 1 year to jail. It was for an attempt to win some money in an illegal way. Somehow they interpreted it that way. So he got a problem. Look at the statistics online for cheating. Per month, chess.com closes 100,000 accounts for cheating. It's that many people cheat every month. On the other hand, if you look how many accounts there are, it doesn't look that bad. It's just three people out of 1,000. The last thing is funny. Already these programs have become like so bad in cheating that even you don't have to make your moves. The program will make them for you. And there is usually information like, don't do it often because they will catch you. Don't use our program because they will catch you. But if you want to prank a friend, yes, that's fine. We don't really in chess call it prank a friend. We typically call it, cheating. This person is a hero. He leads the world of the anti-cheating. He checks lots of tournaments. He wrote a special program. He's also an international master, which helped him building this very sophisticated algorithm. Nobody in the world has a similar one. And he has got lots of cheating and also allowed to clarify those very controversial cases because very often you don't know, did the person cheat or not? You just have moves and like you don't see the person cheating. So how do you even see it? And he knows exactly how to do it. He uses some very advanced statistics. I did cooperate with him for the first time already long ago, about 15 years ago, on those things. Before we come back to that article, one of the things for Professor Regan, which was important, was to check is our rating system stable. So out of the sudden we observed a huge growth of number of players, number of grandmasters in the world. I don't know, we had 500 or we had 100 of them, and out of the sudden we had lots of them, over 1,000. So did the system collapse? And also the rating itself, not only the titles. Many people, the rating of the top 10 players in the world grew significantly. And in order for him to perform those very detailed analysis, he needs to ensure the system is stable, or more or less at least stable, but definitely it cannot be a collapsed system. His program will not work. So I remembered from one of the classes of the physics department that there was a theory about it, and we were shown about how the number of professors or doctors was growing. And you see, if you have a situation where you have unlimited resources, typically this growth is exponential. If you have a situation with limited resources, the growth already is not exponential. So why is it exponential? For instance, origin. If you don't have lots of people, imagine there is a coach Bartek living somewhere in Texas, and I can teach, I don't know, 2 players in 5 years. 2 of them can become grandmasters. But there is also another coach Bartek living in New York, and he also can teach two students, and they will become grandmasters in 5 years. So you see, this growth of the number of grandmasters depends on the number of grandmasters. If there are not many of them, if there are many of already, they become completely against each other. Maybe I live in a city and there are only 4 players interested in playing chess in a small village, and there are 2 grandmasters. So, you know, I can have 3 of them, but already my colleague cannot have 3 of them. So that's why we have this repulsive form there, Bn to the second power. This equation is also used for other things in biology, especially. For instance, it describes the growth of bacteria in a body of a human being. So I wanted to check if chess players are like bacteria. Is there any difference between chess players and bacteria? And apparently not very much. So this is the blue curve that illustrates that theoretical model which we discussed, and those dots, these are exact number of grandmasters, or in this case players rated 2,203 per year. So it's a very good fit. And this is what we wrote with Professor Regan in 2011. We also were discussing about how to analyze the strength of particular moves, but that was one of them. So just to conclude, the final image when we talk about cheating or even fake information, we have like so much of fake information nowadays. So how do you even distinguish? And I found that very interesting photo. So I looked at it and said, oh, good photo. And many people view it like that, a wise old man who lived a harsh but interesting life, playing the most intelligent and respected game in the world. So people see passion, indestructible will to live, and the desire to get to the truth. So, but what about the grandmasters? What do we see? We see it's totally fake. Why? Because there is already a checkmate on the chessboard, so therefore there is nothing to think about there, and there is no point to pose for the camera trying to look smart. So thank you very much. That was all.
Thank you very much for the very interesting talk, for the presentation. And now is the time for questions, for discussion. Please, the audience, for that. Or the comments or something. So
the maximum number of moves in the chess is around 9,000, right?
Yes.
What is the minimal amount of moves after which we can say that the game is over?
2. In 2 moves, the game can be, black can checkmate white in 2 moves. So, and there are several ways how to do it. Very similar ones, but again there are some small differences between those.
No, I need to reformulate my question.
Okay.
I meant the following. How many moves is the minimal after which we can say for sure that one is winning the other one?
Well, I say there is a checkmate is possible. The shortest possible checkmate can be given by black to white already on the second move. So white will make only 2 moves, black will make 2 moves, and that will be already checkmate. The game will finish.
Maybe we can talk offline. Maybe
Okay.
I can reformulate that clearer. But I have another one, if I can.
please,
Regarding your historical chart.
Okay.
What was the attitude of Church, of Catholic Church, to the game when it came to Europe? Was it supported or?
It was changing. It was not necessarily supportive. But one of the reasons why it was not really about chess, it was because people were playing chess, and chess was viewed like cards, like some poker game where money were involved, and that part the Catholic Church didn't like. But like playing for fun, that was fine. But because so many people used chess to play, like treated chess as hazard, that became a problem. And and Catholic Church didn't like it. So in certain places of Europe, chess was banned based on that.
So,
But nowadays, church supports chess. There are in different seminars they play. There is some Polish championship of priests and everybody.
so before the next question, I should mention that there is an opportunity to put questions also but people that are logging online. So if we have some questions from internet, so we will put some question. But now Professor Kazimierczak have a question.
Thank you very much for extremely interesting lecture. And I have a question concerning the decreasing age of actively playing good players. So some years before we are used to encounter very old chess players, very good ones, but nowadays it changes. Can you explain it?
That's true. That's a very correct observation. But that's also something related to our topic, to AI, and which we saw that revolution which allowed especially young people who are always more fluent with all those novelties to absorb more knowledge. In the past, they didn't have that opportunity. Nowadays, instead of doing things, these young people have access to all the games that were played in the history of chess, all the games at least at the top level. They can analyze those games. And that's why this process of learning has become very fast. So that means why we have more young players. Now, as for older players, they quit chess or they don't play that often for two reasons. Because they already find it difficult to compete against very strong young players. In the past, those older players could compete against younger players because those younger players were weaker than those older players. That was one reason. Secondly, now, in order to be a very, very good player, like top 10 in the world, top 100 in the world even, you need to invest lots of time and spend the entire days with your computer, with AI, with your chess engine, analyzing and analyzing, analyzing. The older generation of players has always relied on their experience. But now, a chess engine that kills everything. Nowadays, every coffee machine can destroy Magnus Carlsen. That's the reality.
Okay, thank you, but I think it doesn't explain my question totally, because I think that the period of actively playing just becomes shorter, yes?
In comparison, at least, because I don't know if in objective real numbers this is lower, but we definitely have way more young players playing. But there is one thing about one very interesting thing, which is chess is recommended, has become highly recommended for older people, and it's recommended by doctors. Because what was observed was that playing chess slows down certain processes, for instance, Alzheimer's disease. And if you look at old chess grandmasters, they are all in a very good shape. Well, physically, that depends. But intellectually, very good. 90-year-old people, no sign of any kind of Alzheimer's. You can have very good communication, discussion. So there's that's why chess has become like a medicine, and it's highly recommended.
Thank you very much.
Wait, Professor Patrick, that was the first. Please, Professor Patrick.
Thank you very much for your interesting lecture. In the first part of your talk, I noticed that you pointed out the importance of evaluation of a position after not immediately, which is of course of important too, but after some moves, and then you demonstrated by numbers why it is so important. Because every variant calculated in real time must end rather shortly. So then computer must evaluate somehow this position. And then later you showed that this AlphaZero program was able to learn just by training himself or itself, I don't know how to pronounce better, was able to get a level which allowed him to win against some distinguished programs. It means that this program had to obtain certain level, good level of evaluation of positions in chess. So my question now is, if we combine these two statements, and we know, I think every chess player who used to play in tournaments in the past knows how important this point is, and that mostly it is solved in practice by using intuitive arguments. Or does it mean that this AlphaZero program machine was able to to develop some kind of intuition close to human one, or it can be explained in another way?
No, thank you for this question. No, AlphaZero mainly relied on statistics. It played lots of completely pointless game against itself, but lots of them. And then it was creating some statistics, and it used statistical approach to a game. So it had nothing to do with the evaluation of a position with this old traditional method. And that's why everybody was surprised that with such an approach, you can destroy Stockfish, the old god of chess, which nobody believed could have ever been defeated. And not only that AlphaZero defeated it, but completely crashed. Like Stockfish couldn't win a single game. When we talk now about this algorithm of evaluation of the position, you see, I would be very careful when saying that even with those old programs like Rybka, for instance, that they had evaluation of the algorithm of the evaluation of the position, or how we can say this intuition at the level of Grandmaster. They did. They never had. If we are talking about Rybka, when Rybka started destroying all chess engines, their algorithm of the evaluation of the position, I spoke with Vasek, with the author about it, is, my program destroys everybody because my algorithm of evaluation evaluates the position at the level of a chess player rated 2,200. Now, to know what it means. When we had that conversation, my rating was about 2,600, and this means that basically I should be scoring about 91% of points against a human being, let's say, with such an evaluation of the position. But I had, I would stand no chance against Rybka. Why? Because I also showed the other statistics, which is Rybka could calculate 1 million positions per second, and I could only calculate 1 or 2 maybe positions. So here is where my weakness, or weakness of the Grandmasters was. And in practice, this inferior algorithm of understanding of position, so what we Grandmasters have intuition. I don't need to sometimes calculate, I know it's good. Maybe I cannot explain, but I know it's a good move or a good position. Computers cannot use such an approach. But you see, even though I was, let's say, much better in this evaluation of the position, had much better algorithm of evaluation of the position, the thing that computer was so much stronger in that calculation of the lines, that what made a difference. But because my algorithm of evaluation, and by my I mean of a Grandmaster, was so much better than an engine's algorithm, that's why those cyborg, so one Grandmaster, one engine, that's exactly the reason why they could destroy a simple engine in 2007, like Morozevich and Rybka completely destroyed. I think it was even 6-0 when they played those training matches. Because Morozevich had that evaluation of the position, then he was checking what the computer was calculating, and they said, okay, this looks good. And then they destroyed it.
Thank you.
So Professor Lipniowski was.
Two questions. So first one is related to your response. I know that it can be difficult, but you can like calculate the number of logic operations that human is performing and the computer is performing. Mm-hmm. So if you take the best AlphaZero, or in the case of AlphaGo program, and run it on a small computer such that there will be no winds, yeah? What will be the ratio of logic operations by the computer to the logic operation by human? So if they are equal, how much more logic operation computer performs than human?
Nowadays, it's a very difficult question because we as human beings are not even close. Magnus Carlsen is not even close to those engines.
No. But you can take a very simple computer.
Right. But it's not only the matter of the computers. It's a matter of this algorithm. And so you mean a computer like 25 years ago,
or maybe 40? I don't know. But you can like take the such slow computer that the best player will neither win nor lose, and check what is the number of logic operations. I mean, how much you have to degrade technically the computer, yes, having the best algorithms. I think that huge. I mean,
yes. So you see, because the question more or less you are asking is, you have some modern good class Mercedes, and you are asking, so what do I need to remove from that Mercedes so it becomes, Fiat 126, and like everything basically, So this degradation has to be very much. It's very difficult for me to answer precisely the question because I know in the past what happened. So about, let's say, a year 2000 maybe, the best chess players in the world were still stronger than a simple computer and an engine running on such a computer. Deep Blue is a special story because it was a computer specially built with only one purpose, which is to win the chess match against Garry Kasparov. There's no other purpose. When the match finished, they completely disassembled, yes, the computer. So back then we know that regular computers, yes, I could sometimes win maybe some of the games. Probably already about 2000 those computers were becoming a bit stronger than me. Beginning of this century, computers were already stronger, like regular even computers were stronger than chess players. But the problem I'm having in giving you precise, so I partially responded. However, this is not a very good response because not only that computational power is important, but also the algorithm. And I don't know how modern algorithms would work on those old computers. So I just don't know that. It might. I've never tested that because we have this improvement right now, both in the terms of the algorithm and the computational power.
And the second question, so it took longer, much longer for the computers, and it require much more development of AI to win in Go. I think that in bridge it is still not clear, whether computers are better than the best humans. Do you know like example of a game in which is different from bridge? I mean that it is like not communications of of two persons when it is really very hard to decide in which humans are still stronger, or it is like completely impossible to think about such game?
Maybe we can come up with such a game, but I think like those main games, so Go survived longer than chess, but it survived for two reasons. It's pretty complicated for computer games, but also because first everybody tried to solve chess and not Go. So the effort was how to build a chess program, not a Go program. If 3 decades ago or 4 decades ago everybody started from Go, then probably Go would have been crushed by computers earlier than chess, or the same time. I don't know that, but I'm saying Go is a very complicated game. We know that, but also the second factor is people started working on Go. Computer science people, much later, so they had to catch up.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe I have a question concerning where is the position and place of human beings. My question is which traditional skills are lost on importance, and which traditional skills should even increase on importance during the preparation to chess, or even more general question. We can apply AI and you look for the people to evaluate him to his ability to be the good player, and which skills you prefer, and something like this.
So probably the most important skill of a coach and how we can trick our opponents is to find, and that's what coaches also of Magnus Carlsen, Fabiano Caruana, and the top players in the world work on, is to find some lines which at not very high depth look maybe fine for the opponent. But then at one point the evaluation somehow changes because the computer realizes, aha, now I get it, there is some solution, some very strong move which I didn't see earlier. Well, maybe because I missed it, like I rejected it, or didn't analyze it deeply enough. And if a coach is able to find such a line which starts and the computer at low depth shows, oh, it's a bad line, but it turns out to be really a fantastic line, well, that's something every coach can be proud of, and very often it leads to some victory of his students.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? If no, thank you, our speaker, once again. So thank you.